So I have to ask, what the hell was that friend request that we just saw in Shangri-La Frontier episode 9? I mean, it went about as well as you could expect, given that Sunraku has literally no idea who Saiger Zero is or truly wants with him. Every look of this is that it's someone wanting to kill you or get revenge. And then underneath the helmet, we have an adorable girl blushing because, ooh, if he accepts my friend request, this is a major step forward for our relationship, so to speak. And the awkwardness, the skepticism, and even the reluctance of when he accepted, the fact that they are on two completely... One's at the North Pole, one's at the South Pole, and both think they understand what the other's thinking without them and no, it's like, it is a mess. And I hope this relationship never changes. I hope she gives him daily updates through messages now, and he looks at it with complete skepticism like, I know what she's trying to play. I ain't gonna trust her. She said she accepted the apology for me stepping on her helmet. I know she's waiting to kill me. And honestly, it's comedy gold, but full live reaction to today's wonderful episode over on my Patreon. If you would like to see that, head on over there because they're supporting. So we had quite the eventful episode, which is no real surprise at this point, given we're now 9 episodes in and every episode has an eventfulness to it of some way, shape, and form. But we ended last week with basically the idea of where he's going to go. There was like 4 different spots that he could go through a gate and explore some new areas. And the one that he picked, which was this kind of beautiful, like, it was like everything was glowing, it was shimmering. Like, it just felt like if you were in a Pokemon game, like, this is where the ancient Pokemon are probably going to live. And he chose to go there. But what ends up happening is that even though his disguise, as awkward as it is, it legitimately worked. No one thought it was Sunraku until they looked at his name. So that's going to be his biggest hindrance, and I'm sure there's probably going to be an item or a spell or a mechanic in the game that potentially could hide your name at some point, even if it's a temporary thing. Like, I don't expect it to be something always active, but I imagine there might be something like that down the line, and he ends up getting chased, and we see where we ultimately end up. But what I really like about this area that he's currently exploring is it kind of feels like the first time he logged into the game to begin with. Anyone who's played a very big video game, whether it's an MMO or a single player, there's a element of wonder. It's almost like Christmas morning for the first time when you're first unwrapping your presents, when you first jump into a world that immediately clicks with you. That's what happened to him in episode 1. But after that, it does lose a bit of the magic. Not that it becomes boring, but more so you just assume, yes, the next area that I'm in feels like a natural transition, like the almost deserty moss swamps and stuff that he's been going through just feels like a addition to what you would expect from this world. But this area, to me, is like, it's like the first time he jumps into this game, and he kind of was exploring it in this way like, wow, I've never seen anything like this. And it lets the viewer feel like, yeah, you know what? This game has a lot to offer, and the good variety. I mean, immediately, I think anyone who's played video games knew what to do with the nectar sac of, like, I don't know, the butterfly-like creatures that were carrying it away. If he would have just let that thing drop, it would have exploded, and you would have no item. So the fact that he caught it, and then he ends up using it against this hair-cross-looking beast, I mean, in order to just latch on to this mantis who's trying to take a nice winter nap, and he got more than he bargained for, was really cool. And I think my favorite thing about Sunraku as a player is the fact that he's playing with technology that is so advanced that it's as real as any sensation we touch. If he eats food in this world, it has the potential to probably taste as good as the food that we have here. Yes, there's limiters, we know about the mechanics and stuff, but at the end of the day, we also know that he can break it and things will start tasting better. The point is if VR ever gets to the point where we can interact with a world truly to the point that it feels like we're interacting with anything next to us, in return, what should happen is the player's freedom with a mechanic shouldn't be limited to, here's a boss fight or here's an enemy encounter and there's one way to deal with it. No, if we want to let a bunch of bumblebees fly around the sky, shoot its shell to start cracking it so that we can then use that to our advantage to then use critical attacks of our own to blow this fool apart, we should. And if a different player wants to come in with a makeshift flamethrower with spells and items, they should be able to do that. And that's the type of immersion that this game is giving me, and it's really exciting to see where they can go. I think the most probably underrated thing that is going to get swept under the rug just because there's so much cool things happening both on an action or even comedy level is what happened with our PK friend here, because honestly, I like where this is going. Now, I could be misinterpreting some of this, but my impression, given the grave sign and everything like that, and the fact that she's very much interested in killing one of these beasts that are apparently unbeatable. They're not designed to be beaten, they are completely unbeatable, and why waste any of your items or potions or weapons on trying to fight something that, yeah, will give you a little experience, but at the end of the day, you're not going to win. She's talking about how, like, you know, she's doing this all for a friend, and it seems like, given that the only person who, like, sure, you could probably end up actually dying, like, maybe there's an actual area in the game where, you know, if you end up dying, your character has to stay dead. But it kind of gave me the impression that she was doing it for an NPC, which I actually really like the thought of, because when I play games like a Mass Effect or anything like that, where characters can actually die and stay dead, that will emotionally move me. If you give me VR, if you give me immersion where NPCs are not only acting like real people in terms of their dialogue, like look at Emule, the fact that they could potentially die and that would emotionally touch a player, I mean, yeah, I think that's a really cool mechanic. Like I said, I could be misinterpreting some of that, but even if I am, I like the idea of thinking of players who would end up being emotionally moved and making it their mission. It may make no logical sense to do some of these things, like going after these unique floor bosses that apparently are unbeatable, and I mean, based on what we saw with Sunraku, I'm willing to believe, at least as it stands. But the idea of something like that happening is really cool, because it seems like she's starting to separate herself more from the pking squad. And I mean, there's only one person who I know of who's dumb enough to want to go up against these types of beasts again, and that's our boy Sunraku. And if we add Saiger Zero to the mix, we're going to have a pretty hefty party that's going to be pretty intense. But either way, this was a really fun episode. The more I explore of this world, the more I'm happy that this isn't going to be ending anytime soon and we get to carry it on into the next anime season. But most importantly, Sunraku is just the most fun I've had with an anime character who plays a video game, because not only does it help that I feel like the way he looks at video games is similar to my own, so it helps me be like, you know what, this is how I would play. But at the same time, there's this element and the way he does think outside the box and how he explores this game. It's nice because it's not like we're just trapped in this world. Like, sometimes he will go play a bad video game. We've seen that. But at the end of the day, like, it's like, who the hell wouldn't be playing, using as much of their free time as possible playing a video game like this? It is awesome. The production is remaining strong. I love the look of it. I love the sound of it. And honestly, I love the wholesomeness of just someone trying to send him a friend request and just thinking she's on top of the world, and Sunraku doesn't trust her as far as he can throw her. It is a good episode, and that friend request, that death scene, morning scene about what she's wanting to do, and Sunraku exploring his new area, very, very good episode. But let me know what you thought down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here. Of course, ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload more videos channel. And like I mentioned, we have that full live reaction over on my Patreon. And hey, while you're there, you also get a video shout out. So today we have Calvin Atkinson, Ashalith, username MK, Darthwin Wright, Eric Barton, the James CR, Jeff, and Dawn. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care and have a good one.